Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me in this air dry DIY paint pot video. I will be using some tools sent to me from BeeBee Craft, which will be linked in the box below, and include my thoughts and opinions on these items. I will explain a little bit more later on, but for now, let's get started. First, I want to go over all the items you will need to follow along with this video. Firstly, you will need some air dry clay along with a small cup of water. I personally use Crayola, but whatever you feel comfortable with is fine. And since we are working with air dry clay, you also want to make sure you have a plastic bottle. I am repurposing this ginger ale 20-ounce bottle that I will cut in half. And the purpose of this is that so we don't have any water that will touch and accidentally soften the clay. And you will also use an X-Acto knife or whatever it is that you want to use to cut the bottle in half. You will also need something to roll the clay with. I'm using this acrylic roller that I received with one of my sets. A beginner-friendly tip is that I would recommend you also have either two thin books or a canvas panel to roll evenly so that the clay comes out nice with like an equal thickness, but it's not necessary, so don't worry if you don't have them. A ruler would also come in very handy, but it is not required. I mainly use it to make straight cuts into the clay. You will need some acrylic or acrylic gouache paint or some apple barrel paint. I'm not going to be showing the painting in this video, but the video that will be coming up next week, because I do want to give my pot the proper amount of time to dry completely. You will need some paper towels. And lastly, you don't really need tools when it comes to working with clay, but if you want more control, I do highly recommend using some sculpting tools, which you could even find in the dollar store. However, I will be using this tool set sent to me by BeeBee Craft through their YouTube program. And disclaimer, although I did receive these products for free, I will give my absolute honest opinion on their items. And just a little insight on this program, if anyone is interested, this program allows you to try out and review their items for free in exchange of you publishing your thoughts and opinions of said items. To qualify, your YouTube channel should have a minimum of 100 subscribers. You can apply at the link listed below if you'd like to give it a shot. So the tools is called Benacrate, 25 pieces, has sculpture, pottery, embossing kit with a scraper, just clay tools and carving tools for professional or beginners that retail for $18. Most of the tools have double-sided different tips for a variety of shapes for carving or whatever purpose you want to use it for, which gives you more control for your designs. I'll probably only be using one detailer, a sponge, and a wooden knife, if that. I might not use this too much in this one. I also bought another set from BeeBee Craft with my own money, strictly for this acrylic ruler and tab, which I think I lost, but it was in a set for $12.50. So far, I'm loving the prices from them, and the quality seems to be great on first sight, I guess, on first impressions. Okay, so let's get crafting. The first thing you want to do is protect your surface. So I took this wax paper. Oh, I guess you will also need wax paper. So I took this wax paper and I just started taping the entire surface to make sure that clay doesn't stick to my desk. It's really unnecessary for me because I do have this like contact type of paper, so I really don't need to put anything down, but I'm doing it just so in case you want to try it out. Next, what you want to do is, if you haven't already, make sure you have cut the bottle in half. You also want to take a big chunk of air dry clay and start kneading it. I would knead it for about 2 minutes maybe, just to get it nice and soft. You can even water your hands to make it knead even faster, so you don't have to take as much time, but I like to take my time with it. The next thing you want to do is, if you have the two panel canvases, you want to lay down the panels evenly and then make a little circle or whichever blob that you want, put it in the middle of the two panels, and then just start to roll the clay. Since you're rolling in between two panels, so you know they're lifted at the same height, it'll be much easier to roll the clay evenly. So after you roll the clay out flat, then you want to use the cut bottle to measure the width of the pot size. So you want to make marks on each end, the top end and the bottom end, and you want to, go down the clay at least 3 times. Then you want to connect little marks that you make and take your ruler, and I'm using this wood knife here to just use the ruler to cut straight parallel lines. Once you cut the parallel lines, you can take the excess clay, roll it into a ball or whatever you want to do, and just stick it to the side because we will be using that later. Next, you want to roll the bottle like a burrito, and then you want to mark the meeting point. Once you have that done, now you see here I don't have enough clay, which is okay. If you have enough clay, you want to mark the spot and then cut it, but since I don't, I want to do the same process of kneading some more clay and then rolling it out in the middle evenly, And then you want to attach the clay to each side and kind of just try to make a seamless one by making some marks on the edges of the clay and then pushing them together and using water to kind of glue them together. So once you have enough clay, then you do the same process again. You take the bottle, you roll it over, measure it, and then you make the marks, and then you cut it. You use a ruler to make the straight line. Once you cut off that excess, then you can put it into the excess pile that you have going on. Then you want to use some slip to remove any creases that are from where they met together with the water. You want to lift the bottle. Then after that, you want to take the excess clay that you have, roll it out evenly, and then use the bottle to measure out a base. You want to mark the outline and then remove the bottle and cut to remove the excess clay. Then after that, you want to use the same method of scorching by making the little cuts in the clay and then uniting them and using some slip to just fortify that and get rid of the crease. Now, one thing you want to remember is to keep the clay loosely on the bottle because the clay itself might shrink, and if it shrinks over something and it's too tight, it's going to crack. So it could be completely normal. What you want to do at that point is if it starts cracking, you just want to add some more clay to cover the parts that cracked. So then the next thing that we want to do is take the excess clay, roll it into like a little cylinder shape, and then use the ruler to make an even rectangle. This rectangle shape is going to be useful to become the nose that lead into the eyebrow. So you make that shape and you're just going to set it aside. You're going to roll the rest of the clay into a circle, flatten evenly, and then we're going to make some ears with the rest of the clay. So I tried first just flipping it over and maybe using the same size for it, but it wasn't working out. So I just cut 2 separate ears out of one flat clay that was already, even in thickness. So I just cut it out. I made my ears extra big because I just thought it was going to be cute because the eyes are going to be somewhere in the bottom area, and then the top of the nose, that the rectangle nose that we made, that's going to be the eyebrows. So that's why I wanted to do that. So then at the end, you just want to put the ears on each side. And now this part is extra. If you don't want to do this part, then when we come back, all we have to do is paint the afro on the pot. But if you want to be a little bit extra, like I'm going to be, you're just going to take even thicknesses of clay and you're going to scorch them together without completely removing the top of the crease or the where it meets. You want to keep that a little bit just so it kind of looks like hair. Make it look a little bit fluffy, or you can completely mix it together and then just use the detailer and make little clouds into the afro. I'm gonna make an afro myself, and then I'm gonna use the slip to attach the afro. Next, we are going to wait till this dries. Here's what it looks like all done. Again, the eyes are going to go down here. The eyebrows are going to be somewhere, at the top, right kind of where the ears start is where I'm going to put the eyebrows. I wanted the ears to look, really, really cute and big. I wanted it to look kind of cartoony. I wanted to make a cartoony Bob Ross. So that's what we're doing. And now you just want to set it somewhere. You want to make sure it has even ventilation. So if you want to put it on a cookie rack or some sort of rack where air will hit it in all directions and not just one, you could do that. Or you want to, just make sure that it's breathing well and you turn it every few minutes. You really don't have to. You could let it sit and it'll dry on its own fine. But remember, you want to keep the clay loose, not too tight around the bottle because it will crack. And then you want to be patient with it drying because I really don't want to accidentally soften it or moisten it up because I do like to use some thin paints. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me talk about real quick what I liked about the BeeBee Craft items. I really liked that wooden slice. I thought it was kind of weird shaped, but it did help out a lot and it felt really natural, and I liked how sharp the edges were. I think that maybe it could have been just a little bit sharper, but maybe I'm using the wrong knife, so don't hold that against it. The little detailers I actually ended up not using. I used mostly my fingers because I wanted it to be really natural feeling. But I did really like the acrylic roller. That thing is awesome. I use it every time I play around with clay. So we'll see if I notice anything else special. Like I said, you don't really have to use tools, but they are very helpful when you want to be in control of the details. So thank you so much for joining me. And on the next video, I will be painting this little Bob Ross plant pot. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.